One of the big storylines so far in fall camp for LSU is defensive line. Now, my opinion is the single biggest question on this team is defensive tackle. And look, there's a lot of questions, okay? Sam Levitt's health seems like that one's answered, but until we see it in the game and how he functions and all, that's part of it, of course. You have one returning receiver who had one catch, Phillip Wright. That's it. Everything else at receiver is new. Running back, Dylan Jones has very clearly is carrying the banner as RB1. Can he do it in the SEC? Remains to be seen. Lots of questions, right? You got two new edge rushers. Is PJ Woodland ready to be? Is DJ Pickett ready to be? CB1 taking over from Mansour Delane. Oh, there's lots of questions. A new place kicker replacing your program's all-time leading scorer in Damian Ramos. New punter in Grant Chadwick, who looks awesome. Will it carry over into games? Can it move from the proverbial range to the course sort of thing? There's questions all over. For me, the single biggest question is defensive tackle. Because you have no skins on the wall. You got a lot of talent, and you have some experience. You have no skins on the wall. For context, you went out and added Malik Blockton from Auburn. In 2 seasons at Auburn, he has combined 34 career tackles. 18 a season ago. 18 tackles. You added Stephylan Green from Clemson. 3 years at Clemson, combined 34 tackles. He had 18 a season ago. Dom McKinley, going into his junior year, 3 years at LSU, has 19 tackles. 7 as a freshman, 12 last year. That's it. You got veteran dudes who are in their second, third year in college, but dudes that haven't done anything. Even a guy like McKinley, who was a 5-star, and you could be really excited about the growth potential, the physical ability, none of them have done anything. And that question is only magnified by the fact that 2 true freshmen have stepped right in and are stealing first-team reps from these veteran guys. What would make me feel way better is if knowing Geralds, who is really advanced and explosive and very exciting, and Richard Anderson, who's 330 pounds and the number 1 defensive tackle in the country, if those dudes showed up on campus and the veterans were throwing them out of the boat. Because that would tell me your veterans, hot damn, they're ready. They're ready to roll. You got 5-star defensive linemen and they're struggling to break through. That means your veterans are ready. The fact that you got these 2 true freshmen, kicking in the door, tells me your veterans aren't holding them off. There's multiple ways you can look at that. And you can be really excited about the young guys, but there's a flip side to that coin, which is your veterans aren't dominating enough to justify stealing those first-team reps because you got the young guys doing it. Now, Lane Kiffin was asked on Monday when he met with reporters if he's ever had a group of young defensive linemen, and the way it was asked was the 3, because they threw Lamar Brown in there as well, who, this is a great comparison, right? Lamar Brown's 5-star number 1 player in the country. He's not taking first-team reps. Now, he wasn't here in the spring, but you've got Prince Will, Uman Mielen, and Jordan Ross. Uman Mielen is a senior who led Ole Miss in sacks and tackles for loss a year ago in the SEC. Jordan Ross is a former top 10 overall player in the country who has been a rotational guy at Tennessee and is now ready to be a starter. So as great as Lamar Brown, we all expect him to be, as highly rated of a prospect as he is, he ain't stealing first-team reps from those veterans. They're throwing him out the boat. So he's getting second-team reps. Not seeing that at tackle. Anyway, Lane was asked, have you ever had a class like this with this many defensive linemen ready to make an immediate impact?
Yeah, I don't think we have. There's a 4th, too, in there that's doing a really good job, Henderson. But, yeah, I don't. And I talked to Ed about that. I was kind of thinking all the places over the years we've been, and even when we've been together or separate, and neither of us has had that. And really unique to have nowadays, because now they're more spread out usually, where before you could take more numbers, and so maybe then you hit on some and got that. But it's really exciting. All of them have a chance to play. Those 3 specifically are playing a lot, and it's really exciting in an age that, a lot of people play older portal players, it's kind of been lost a little bit of significant freshmen playing because there's challenges with playing them too. They make more mistakes. So, and with the challenging schedule and the way that it's set up now and more competitive than ever, it's even harder to have some of those games early. So it's really an awesome situation to be in.
So I want to be very clear. I'm not afraid of asking a true freshman to make an impact. DJ Pickett made a big impact last year on LSU. Malachi Toney made a huge impact on Miami, played for the national championship. So I'm not saying it's bad that you got a freshman making an impact. What I am saying is I'm a little skeptical about your depth at that position. Now, I'll give you a comparison. 2014 is always the year that I defer to in this, or default to. So 2014, LSU was in a situation where the year prior, some really talented guys left school early. Freak Johnson left after his third year on campus. Wish he had stayed for a fourth year. He didn't. He left. He left after his junior year, went undrafted, how all that went. And what that left you with was a really young defensive line group. And there was no portal at the time. So Christian Lockature, as a sophomore, became your most experienced defensive lineman. And Davhon Keys, as a true freshman, coming off a torn ACL, by the way, ended up starting. Keys, as a true freshman, had 42 tackles. Lockature had 40. And you had Quentin Thomas, Macadius Bain, Greg Gilmore. You were just really young. Now, you finished that season 152nd in rushing defense. So it was top 50 in the country. But LSU's used to being top 10 in the country in rush defense in that era with Chavis and building great defensive linemen. And it showed against better veteran teams. When you played that in 2014, that really veteran Mississippi State team with Dak Prescott, they ran roughshod all over you. They ran right through your defense. When you went on the road to Auburn, that was the Brandon Harris game. They ran right through you. That was the problem that you had with that really young defense. So, and you got better for it, and you had young players on that defense like Kendall Beckwith and Duke Riley and Deion Jones, and later in their career, they were awesome players. Gottschall was an awesome player later in his career too. But that was a year where you had some growing pains. So I am I'm hopeful for the defensive line. I don't know if I'm optimistic for the tackles. But my real hope is that those guys become space eaters. Because the best spot on this defense, in my opinion, is linebacker. TJ Dottery led the SEC in tackles a year ago. Whit Weeks was second in the SEC in tackles 2 years ago. Davhon Keys was third in the SEC in tackles last year. Your first three are awesome. You talk about skins on the wall? They all got them. And you have great depth behind them. Tylen Singleton, Zach Weeks, Charles Ross, Keelan Moses. You got young dudes, hungry dudes behind them ready to roll. So I think linebacker is your best spot on defense. Most proven, best depth, all of it. Maybe what your tackles can do, even if they're not impact guys as far as making plays, maybe they can be space eaters, eat up blocks, and free up your awesome linebackers to go make plays. One guy who can certainly speak to that is LSU center Braylon Moore. He was asked when he met with reporters this week about those young defensive linemen.
Man, those guys are going to be crazy talented. Their future is so bright. I've played in the ACC, played against, good Clemson teams, played in the SEC. Those freshmen are developed more than some of the players I played in their fourth year. Deuce is extremely talented pass rusher. His bag is endless. And then when it comes to Rich, he is a powerful dude, can eat up double teams, could, just cause chaos in the backfield. And then Lamar's kind of a switch-up. He's an edge rusher, but, he could also move into three-tech. He has that power. So, he could work finesse, and he could just go right through you. So, that group is set for the next couple of years for sure.
I love to hear that from a veteran player. And to say that group is set for the next couple of years, I believe him. The question is that group set for this year? That's something we'll only see when they tee it up and kick it off. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.